Hi, welcome to a Julius Digital Hub. I am Vanessa Valencia, your host for today. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about the reality of marketing in 2025. Budgets are frozen, teams are lean, goals keep growing. And who better to break it down with us than our guest today, that is Jorge Ayala, or Managing Director and co-founder of Julius North America. Hi Jorge, thank you so much for joining us today in Julius Digital Hub. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
I'm good. So I already have my question to enjoy this opportunity with you. And I want to start talking about the reality of 2025. And my first question is, why do you think the pressure to do more with less feels so intense this year?
Well, companies are always required to do more with less. This is especially true when we are facing recessions or when the economy is not growing as fast as we'd like to. A reality that the US economy right now and the world economy in general is not having a good year. When this happens, companies need to be more sensible of their resources.
Yeah, totally agree. And talking more about your experience, what's that mindset shift that's still missing at the top?
The mindset shift that is still missed at the top, I think that, organizations need to change the way they are doing things and they need to embrace new possibilities that allow them to do more with less. Here in Julius, two things that we are promoting every single day. First of all, the use of technology, of these new AI tools that are being available increasingly every single day on one hand, and on the other hand, talent, which allows organizations to embrace remote work, but also having co-workers from other parts of the world.
Now that you talk and mention about Julius, I already did your presentation. You are the Managing Director of Julius North America. And I want to ask you, based on, again, your experience, when companies come for help to you, what's usually not working in the growth strategy?
Well, some companies that come with us, they still have some gaps in their strategies, in the way they have defined their strategies. So that happens in a few cases, but most of the people we are talking with have clear, well-defined marketing strategies. They are struggling with the execution because every single strategy requires lines of action and requires certain resources. This connection between the strategy and the budget, that of course leads to trouble. It's more challenges in the execution of a strategy, the one that we see every single day.
Yeah, totally agree. Now that we mentioned like do more with less, why has the more with less become more than a slogan in 2025?
Well, once again, it's a specific environment, economic environment that we are facing in the US and most of the world. I think it's more what's happening right now with the economy.
Yeah, and this is a new pressure or it's just making like visible now?
Companies are always required to do more, to be more efficient, increasingly efficient every single year, independently of what's happening in the overall economy. This is something that companies are always facing. It just gets a little bit more intense in years like 2025.
Yes, and now that you mentioned about execution and how it is really important, what shift in thinking is most urgent for executive in today's environment?
First of all, executives need to embrace the use of technology. They need to understand the use cases of tools such as AI, and also understand the capabilities that are required to execute their strategy. Sometimes, there's a disconnect between the strategy and which organizational capabilities are required, and also understand that those capabilities may be fulfilled by in-house, onshore employees, or by service providers, or maybe by extended nearshore team members, right, that may have these capabilities and might not live in the US. I think a few shifts in mentality like these ones may open more possibilities for organizations to execute their strategies.
Great answer and insight. So now that we're talking about this, the team that you mentioned, the organizational environment, like I want to go deep in scaling without overhead. And in your point of view, what's define a high performance growth theme?
Well, a high performance growth theme, first of all, is achieving results. It's data driven and results driven. They are measuring real KPIs like revenue, acquisition. They understand that there are other KPIs, other indicators that we need to look at, but they don't get lost with the small numbers. They understand the business. They understand that they need to move the needle. They need to increase profit, the generation of profitable revenue. That's the difference between high performance and just teams that are working a lot without achieving anything useful, first of all. Second, a high performing team has great communication, working, it's always on the same page, very well aligned among themselves and with the company's strategy. So there's little waste, because of this great communication. These teams are fast, execute fast, they ask and receive for feedback fast, and they also can change and adapt to different circumstances or when new data point or insight is discovered.
Great answer. And if I want to grow or scale my team, what are the type of options that I already have?
And of course, the first option is to directly hire US based team members. That's for sure the normal standard to go. Identify which capabilities are required in the team. This requires also organizational design, designing the team based on capabilities and understanding how these capabilities may be found in the job market. So there's a work, like an organizational design work that has to be done. And once that's very well defined, organizations may hire directly onshore team members, or they may also work with partners, with agencies that may be onshore or offshore. And finally, something that we promote a lot in Julius is these teams, extending these teams and filling some of these capabilities through nearshore talent.
Perfect. And now that you mentioned about Nearshore, what's the difference between a Nearshore team or a freelancer?
Well, freelancers come with some advantages and disadvantages. In my personal experience and the experience of many of our customers, freelancers are challenging to manage because sometimes they are dealing with different clients and different projects and are on their own timeline. Sometimes makes projects advance in a slower way. When you have an extended offshore or nearshore team, in this case, a nearshore team, so a team that is based in Latin America, with Latin American marketers that are working along onshore marketers, you have these people that are at a full-time capacity, with a dedicated commitment, working as part of a team, using the same project management tools, having at least one daily huddle. So they are working at a very intense rhythm. And that's something that we really like to see in marketing operations. So this speed of execution, this really great communications, alignment, and also to understand how many hours are going to be dedicated to each task. So we can actually predict what we're going to accomplish each week or each day or each sprint, depending on how an organization is actually dividing their time.
Yeah, totally agree. But I think maybe nearshore is like a new like terminology for some companies, and it is the same as a offshore is nearshore, or they are different because I think maybe some companies in the US are familiarized to maybe hire other type of services.
I mean, offshore just means hiring either a service or a person that lives in another country. It may be any country. And so when we talk about offshore, can be talking about Asia or Europe, Eastern Europe is very common, or Latin America. When we say nearshore, in the context of the US, we're talking about Latin America. Every single Latin American country is located along most US time zones. So if you're working with someone in Latin America, you're normally working exactly during the same time. They may not be that close together. I mean, Argentina is not close, is not near the US geographically, but it is close from a time zone perspective. So if we're working remotely, it doesn't matter if you are on the other side of the world, but it matters if you are in the same time zone.
Yeah, totally. Well, I am now in Argentina, just 2 hours ahead from New York City, or 1 hour depending on the season. So that works for companies in the US. And now that you mentioned about the strategy and like organizational design, like I want to go deeper and talk about, in your experience, how does the lack of focus derail even the best execution?
First of all, we need to understand the power of ideas. I mean, ideas are very important. Ideas are the base of everything, entrepreneurship, innovation. So we need enough good ideas to succeed. But also, sometimes there are too many ideas, even too many good ideas. We are trying to do a lot of good things at the same time, and execution is going to get hurt. It requires a lot of discipline. They need to be disciplined, analyzing their ideas. I mean, of course, they need to generate ideas, but they need to be disciplined managing their ideas and making sure that only the best ideas are being selected and only the best ideas are being executed, and that not too many tasks are being approach at the same time.
So, and that makes me think and reflect about what I learned here in Julius, that what is the real definition of a strategy. And a strategy is also decide what to do and not to do. And I think that in this context and that you need to do more with less, you need to be really focused on that. So that leads me at the next question, that what signs tell you that a company doesn't have a focus problem, that maybe have a prioritization crisis?
Well, I think that it's kind of the same. The company has ideas. I mean, they have goals. The company has goals. The first step is defining what we want to achieve. A company that has good ideas, that has creative people that read, that study, that have experience, normally going to come up with great ideas on how to achieve the goals they have established or how to solve the problem they have. So once we have good ideas on the table, then that's where priorities should be established. So based on experience, marketing leaders must decide what to do and not what to do, at least not now. That's something we always say. What to do right now, what not to do right now. Well, we need to establish our priorities for the next week, or for the next sprint, for the next month. We need to understand what we need to be executing right now based on priorities. So that's when an organization has a goal and is doing things that don't seem to be the right ones, given those goals or given those problems, that's where we can see that there's probably a strategic issue, right? The wrong channels are being selected, the wrong initiatives are being executed. And now a focus problem, we separate it, could be a situation where a company has actually the priorities, no, but they are switching their plans very frequently. They are switching their goals. They are switching, no, their initiatives. They are not finishing what they propose to do. So that could be an indication that we are facing focus problem.
Totally agree. And to make this episode and to understand, we did research and we were like understanding better like the pain points and the problem. And something that we found out, it's like the difference between the mindset in Latin America and also like in the companies in the US. And I have already a question that it was for like if a VP marketing feels overwhelmed, like where should they start untangling this mess? But I think it's better if we also talk about our experience here in Julius and how we are actually living in the same like situation, or maybe seeing from the other side. Like what you think, like because you already are the managing director of Julius, and how do you see this reality of 2025 like identified with the companies in the US?
Yes, of course. I mean, we're all facing a challenging economic environment. In most countries, that includes the US and Mexico, Colombia, are the three countries where most of our clients. And so as a company, we've been growing very fast, but this year and this growth has been decelerated, right? Like most of our clients. And what we need to do also ourselves is to be very careful with how we are our resources. So ourselves are also a completely remote organization, which allows us to save in office spaces, also to find talent throughout Latin America. So even for our clients in Mexico, we are hiring people from other countries like Argentina, Peru, Colombia. In some cases, offer us the capabilities that we are more cost effective. So we're also using these benefits, right? The remote, the nearshore benefits. We are increasingly understanding the real use cases of AI, our team members on how to use these tools to achieve greater efficiency. And this is something we all need always. Once again, this is always needed. The good years and the bad years. We don't need to wait for recession before implementing these type of tools, of benefits, of mindset.
Yeah, and great answer. Now that you mentioned about the AI, this is a hot topic in 2025. And actually, right now, AI is redefining how we work, what we do, these strategies. And I want to go deeper on that. And how should AI fit into a modern research conscious growth plan?
So first of all, we need to understand the benefits and limitations. So there's this paper that came out yesterday, I think, published by Apple, where Apple is making a case about the limitations of LLM models. While reading this paper, I decided to read it because I thought it was a very interesting perspective. We might disagree how fast AI is going to advance. If we look at what currently is possible, right? So right now, with the state of technology as it is right now, with the current models, there are many things that can be done, right? And maybe most jobs right now are still necessary, but it is a fact that right now, each professional might be at least 10% more productive by using these tools. So if we can gain 10% productivity per person, and I'm saying at least, this depends on how repetitive the work you do is, right? So for more senior people, maybe it's 5-10%. For more junior people, it's maybe 100%. So depending on the seniorship or the juniorship, this could vary. But in any case, let's say that it's at least 10%. It's a huge benefit. Organizations that embrace and understand this are going to be either more productive or going to be having higher revenue per employee or higher profit per employee. So it is something that we need to embrace.
Great answer. And I have another question. What systems or ritual help to distribute teams stay impact driven?
Well, this is very important. I personally like daily huddles as a ritual. So every single day have like a 15 or 10 minutes video conference with everyone sharing priorities for the day, sharing any important news, either achievements, good news, and also sharing any challenge or obstacle to execution they are facing. So this allows to establish, this could be at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day or both. The faster the team is moving, maybe the more times they need to be synchronizing themselves through this daily log. So that's one. Regarding systems, of course, we need something like Slack, right? Slack, SAP, or whatever tools. We normally like Slack. So anything that allows us to be able to be communicating among team members in an organized way around projects, around clients, around topics. So yeah, of course, these collaboration tools are very important to make sure that we are on the same page, that we can find the answers in an easy way. And of course, we need management tools like Asana. That's the one that we like to use, but it could be any. Trello, whatever. It is important to have a clear visualization of tasks. We need to understand the to-do list of everyone. We need to understand the backlog that everyone has, what has been accomplished. And something that I really, really like as a ritual is every single sprint, whenever a to-do is being defined, to take a look at the backlog and also to especially take a look at those tasks that are the ones that hurt that we're not going to be executing. So what are we going to do during this week or this sprint, and what we are not going to do right now because we are going to do this, right? It hurts to leave things in the backlog, but you still want to do them because what is in your to-do list is much more important. Then we can feel a little bit more confident that we're working on the right things, but also that we have good ideas. If it doesn't hurt, maybe our backlog or maybe our ideas are not as good as they should be.
Interesting. We are almost getting to the final of the episode, and I want to talk about what's a recurring mistake that you see in fast-growing teams.
Well, there are several, but I think that when a team is growing very fast, of course, hiring is being done also very fast. When you need to hire people without a proper interviewing and technical vetting, cultural vetting process, sometimes you make mistakes. But teams that are growing very fast, they also need to be very disciplined in assessing the quality and the assertiveness of their hiring decision and fix any problems along the way. It is not an ideal situation for either the candidates or the people that are being hired or the company. It is a situation that hopefully could be avoided, right? Especially if there are the right partners and capabilities in place to help get this hiring process right, even when done in a very fast way. But if a mistake is done, then a correction needs to be also implemented fast.
Perfect. And now that you mentioned this, I want to just take a moment, can you explain to our listener why Julius and how we help the companies in the US?
So we're a marketing company. We've been doing this for almost 20 years. We have executed marketing for ourselves, for large companies, as an agency, and now as an extended or staff augmentation partner. So we know how to hire marketers. That's why we really know the challenges, what to look for when building a marketing team. So I think that's something that makes us different from other extended teams partners or staff augmentation partners in the region. And of course, we have systems and processes and a culture that allows us to move very fast, to make sure that we are understanding each client's priorities, their strategy, and really maximizing the rate of success when deploying nearshore talent.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jorge. So I have a final question. It's more like more like a final reflection. And what's the one mindset shift that every growth leader should embrace this year?
If someone wants to grow and they are constrained by their budget, so they are resource constrained, first of all, it's how to leverage technology, to leverage remote work, and specifically how to leverage nearshore talent. Right? I think the combination of those is going to allow them to find different ways of achieving their goals, different ways of executing their plan without losing quality, without losing no, we're having any executional problem.
Well, thank you so much, Jorge, for this talk. It was really interesting. And I hope to see you in our next episode.
Thank you, Vanessa. I really enjoyed this conversation, and also I look forward to having another webinar soon.
Thank you so much all for listening to this episode of Julius Digital Hub. Remember to like and subscribe and see you next time. Bye.